I'm sorry, Nick Jackson. Ooh, I am a steal. You tried to attack my best friend, so I bit Omega in the end. I'm John Rectum with my review of AEW Dynamite from Buffalo, New York. Post All-Out Edition, and what do you guys want to talk about? It's been such a quiet time in the land of All Elite Wrestling. Nothing newsworthy, nothing that's basically created a goddamn media firestorm. I kid, of course, after AEW All Out ended, that post-media scrum happened, and goodness fucking me, everybody was scrumming all over the goddamn place, scrumming all over everybody's goddamn face. By the time that scrum was over, hell, even during it, everybody, they were picking whichever camp, group they were in, and they were ready to just get in the trenches, go to war, bloodshed. Nobody was going to be left standing. Goodness fucking me, it has certainly been quite an exciting time for good, bad, and indifferent in the land of AEW. Well, so yeah, it has certainly been something else. Now, I don't know what's true. There's always three sides to every story. One side, the other side, and the truth. I'm going to say right now how I personally feel, and then I will get into the AEW Dynamite review. And I will explain why. Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting few months for AEW, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to go the way that some of their diehards want. So, let's try to dissect this a little bit. CM Punk. He was upset because of a lot of the shit that the Elite had been doing and saying and whispering and chittering, you know, in the corners and behind his back and stuff like that. And like the promo that Hangman Adam Page did where he has to defend AEW from, you know, guys like Punk, and that he did other interviews where he didn't really need to listen to any of the veterans, that him and the Elite and others helped build this thing from the ground up, along with Tony Khan's billions of dollars. Well, his dad's billions of dollars. But nevertheless, the whole point is, they'd been there since the beginning. The pandemic hit. CM Punk may have come into the company, but who fucking knows? What ended up happening is basically everybody just finally had fucking enough. Whichever side you're on, that's your business. I will say this. Punk has always been an abrasive asshole. It's partly why I love him, because he's just honest, and he's out front with being an abrasive asshole. But he also does love pro wrestling. He also loves his health more than anything. That's why he left in early 2014, and I don't blame him. I saw him maybe 7 weeks before he walked out at the 2013 Slammies in Seattle, and he was done. And the fact that he was able to come back and do pretty well, all things considered, is pretty damn good to see. Now, has everything in Punk's run been great? No. Even before the injury, there were cracks that were starting to show. You could tell he was getting a little bit tired, a little bit burned out, because he missed it. He certainly missed the money. And he was cutting some of the best promos and doing some really good pro wrestling. The bloom was going to come off the rose sooner or later. Now, in regards to how Punk basically reacted and called out the bullshit about Colt Cabana, you know, whose real name that Punk mentioned, I'm not going to mention it here. He had basically gotten tired of all this shit and everything, and I don't blame him for being upset. On the flip side, the Elite feel that they really don't need Punk, and that they were just going to do everything they could to basically needle him like they needled others. But needling Punk is rather difficult to do. One, the guy has more goddamn, he has more tattoos covering his skin than he actually has bare skin. But also, he doesn't give a shit. He's going to say whatever. However, whether you disagree or not, you gotta be honest, he's going to feel how he feels, and he's gonna state how he feels. I am not a fan of the Elite. Hangman, I don't mind. Hangman, I think, association, you know, whether he actually truly did all this stuff or whether Punk read too much into it, I'm not actually sure. I wasn't there. I don't mind Hangman. Omega is a little simpering bitch, and so are the Bucks, and they've always been that way. Omega was upset because New Japan didn't want to go with him as a main star attraction, even though they gave him the championship, put him over Okada in a tremendous 2 out of 3 falls match. One of my favorite matches of that decade, by the way. Tremendous fucking action. And great storytelling. 65 fucking minutes, 2 out of 3. Great shit. And then after that, they would have rather seen him chase the title than actually hold it. Because by the time we got to September, he went on the Jericho cruise, he did this stuff, and it became obvious that he would rather just have the title and basically shit all over, being on tour with New Japan. Yes, he did some other stuff and whatever, but it is what it is. That's how I interpret it. The Bucks aren't even the best tag team in their own goddamn company. They haven't even been the best tag team in their company from day one. And the Bucks are just simpering bitches, and they always whine everything, and they want to put over FTR and a whole bunch of this stuff. The whole point is, whichever camp you're in, this was going to blow up, and goodness, whether it was an actual fight, whether Punk threw punches and hurt himself, or the Elite, had a war of words with him and everything got out of hand. Ace Steel apparently threw a chair, knocked out Nick Jackson. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you can, concuss somebody that hasn't had a working brain since birth. But meanwhile, Punk's dog is there. It's just absolutely incredible, all this shit that's going on. And all this shit was happening, like, all this stuff's coming out, like, after this post-media scrum where Punk was fired up for good and bad reasons. He was finally just fed the fuck up, and I don't blame him for being fed the fuck up. He doesn't really... AEW needs him more than he needs AEW. He may really like the money and everything, but the injuries have taken hold, and maybe Father Time finally caught up to him. Maybe he finally just got burned out. The Elite also tried to gamble and tried to, have a poker face when they really don't have any cards left to show. Fans are turning on the Bucks because they wanted to see FTR, and yes, they have their fans. Yes, Omega has his fans. They also haven't been able to grow the goddamn ratings. Yes, they did the "Tis Sweet," all that stuff and everything, and they sold some shirts and actually have their fan base. They do. The thing is, though, more and more fans that tune into AEW, casual fans, they want to see more pro wrestling, and that's not what the Elite do. Hangman does more than anybody else, but Hangman also has been totally cooled off. All this shit's going on, and now we get to Dynamite. And the reason, by the way, that I was able to have this review up way sooner than normal is because of a schedule change. So I was actually able to watch this live, and it was certainly something. It certainly was. But the bottom line is, to put a period on this whole thing, Punk, whether he swung first or not, I don't blame Punk for getting upset. But if Eddie Kingston is going to get suspended for what he did to Sammy Guevara, even though Eddie was right and he should have palmed and shattered Sammy's jaw, as far as I'm concerned, for being a goddamn little bitch and a little brat and a piece of shit, Eddie getting suspended makes sense. But here's the thing: Eddie had a more high-profile match on the pre-show compared to Sammy. Sammy also dropped Ruby Soho on her head because Sammy doesn't give a shit anymore. Then, just basically, it's a goddamn train wreck. That's what it comes down to. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to wrap this up here, and I'm going to get to the review. But I just wanted to cover I wanted to cover that basically. I side with Punk, even though if he did swing for, like, if the Elite honestly weren't at fault and Punk just did swing first and said, fuck it, I'm just going to swing, whatever, then okay, Punk should be suspended. The Elite also should be suspended, and lo and behold, we get to the opening of Dynamite. So here we go, the opening of Dynamite. Excalibur, Shivani, and Taz on commentary. MJF recaps, and then we do a pre-tape with Tony Khan. How many 8-balls did he fucking snork? Good grief. Blink. Blink, you goddamn Herb Abrams clone. Blink. Just looking like this, like I'm Jim Crockett Jr., and I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to keep looking and not blink. This is difficult to not blink. But he says, well, it has certainly been newsworthy, and the world title and the trios titles are vacated because CM Punk, Ace Steel, Christopher Daniels, Pat Buck, the Elite, and I'm sure I'm missing some other people, were all suspended. Basically, anybody who tried to break up the fight and anybody that was involved in the fight. Got taken care of, that's it, goodbye. Okay, just go home, stop, don't do this anymore. And they're going to do an independent investigation. So basically, that pretty much destroyed the closing moment of All Out, which was supposed to be about MJF's return. And it was a big goddamn deal. So, the World and Trios titles are vacated. And there will be a Trios match to determine new Trios champion. Not interim. New. Vacated. That's good. That means these suspensions could fucking stick. And it could be a number of weeks. It could be a few months. Some of these people could be fucking fired. In all honesty, if the Bucks and Omega didn't come back, I don't think the show would miss them. Some fans would. Punk, honestly, Punk got injured right after he won the title. He was already a little hampered before that. Came back. The stuff with Mox was good and then also kind of a mixed bag. He won the title. And even if this hadn't happened, I don't think he would have held the title much past Arthur Ashe Stadium. So, Punk's time was coming to a close. So that's basically what happened. Page and Danielson are going to face each other. Guevara and Darby are going to face each other on Rampage. And then the winner of Bryan and Page will face off against Jericho. And the winner of Guevara and Darby will face off against Mox on Rampage. And, goddamn, just blink, Khan. He's trying to take control of his company. It's too fucking late. This company has jumped the goddamn shark. There was a good opener, though. MJF gets a big pop. Massive. Just homecoming for this boy. He's so goddamn happy. He's just buttering them up, talking about the Bills, talking about being happy, being back and everything. That he wants to stay in AEW. He wants to do this, it's so fucking great. It's all the right things. And you could see it behind his eyes that he's going to turn on the fans. He's going to turn on the goddamn dime. But he's like, marrying another guy with the name that began with M. But I'm not Moses. I'm better than Moses. The crowd's cheering. Oh. And I got a chip where I can cash in. I've got more money. I've got all this. I've got everything I want. And I'm going to win the world title because I'm better than you, and you know it. He's just going to lead AEW to the promised land. Wild thing, you make Buffalo sing. And Mox comes out and says, you're full of crap. And he knew he was fucking full of crap. And just says nobody believes us and everything. And MJF just says, yeah, he just turns on the goddamn day. Fucking brilliant. MJF's best goddamn promo going today. Fucking incredible. When he's on, he's great. He hasn't always been perfect. But 99% of the time, he's great. And he turns on the whole thing about being, with AEW forever. Maybe I'll win the title and then I'll take that title to a real wrestling company with real fans. Real wrestlers. Like my friend, the American roller coaster, Cody Rhodes. It's entirely possible we could see that happen. And then they have a tease with face off. MJF can't get the shirt off. It's caught on his hand. And MJF leaves. And then Mox cut the promo. He was more measured here, but I've realized that Mox's promos are very formulaic. He talks about what the world title means to him, what it means to the company, how it was a centerpiece of leading AEW through the pandemic. That he was on vacation, but he came here because he loves this business. You could tell that he didn't really want to be there, though. But the team was in need. And, well, I'll take the shot because this is going to be what it takes to be a legend. Not Mox's best promo, but definitely one of his better promos. Good. It felt like a pro wrestling program. They were trying to hit the reset. We're going to be a new WCW. Wait, I mean a new AEW. There's no comparisons to WCW. It's not like they're burning through a whole bunch of, even though they're making profits, they have a whole bunch of talents they're overpaying. They have TV shows that are a goddamn mixed bag because everybody's just in on this whole thing, and a whole bunch of people have creative freedom, and they have a boss who wants to be one of the boys and all this, and then they don't have an impending corporate merch. Oh! They do. And they just had a pay-per-view that kind of jumped the shark. Even though that pay-per-view wasn't that bad in comparison to the 2021 edition, the 2021 edition blew it out of the water. The MJF stuff was really cool. And that tag title match was really cool. Death Triangle. Pac, Penta, and Phoenix taking on the Best Friends. Trent, Chuck, Orange Cassidy, and Danhausen for the vacant trios championships. Why even have I'm not even going to analyze this match beyond saying it was the same. I've seen so many trios matches. They're all the same. The crowd is into it. I'll say that. If you guys liked it, that's fine. Here's my analysis. Why have a referee? Rick Knox is the worst fucking referee in existence. At least now. He may be a nice guy. He fucking looks lost every goddamn time he's out there. No tags. They battle out to the stage. Nobody gets counted out. Everybody just does everything. We get dives all over the goddamn place. Pac got spiked with a DDT. Really good sell there. And then Everybody just keep diving. Just keep diving. Just keep doing whatever. And then Black Arrow. 1, 2, 3. New Trios Champions. Death Triangle. It's 2-pack. It's Death Row Triangle Records. I'm ashamed of that. So, New Trios Champions. Here's Shivani with the Dark Order. What's left of them. Jose wants to tell 10 that, hey, Andrade El Olio really wants you. But then he has to write a song and ask Boy George if he really wants to hurt him. No, anyway. This is not good. Because then Rush and Andrade El Olio show up. Andrade, stop fucking talking. You have a manager. Please. I don't know where this is leading. Is 10 going to turn heel? 10 looks good. Take the mask off. He might actually, be something. Because the Dark Order is played out. I'm sorry, it's played out. I know they have their fans. They played out. There's trouble with Britt and Jamie. I did like the recaps of Jamie topping Sheeta, which I didn't imagine being. Anyway, let's move on from that. Toni Storm versus Penelope Ford. AEW Women's Championship Eliminator match. Okay, Penelope Ford is being featured on Dynamite. Hey, at least they featured the women before the death slot. Look, Penelope is not bad. I think she's as good as she's ever going to get, which is acceptable. Tony's good. It doesn't feel like they care about the women at all because they just condensed all this stuff with the women right here. It looked like Penelope got KO'd in the finish. I hope she's okay. Tony won. I hope Penelope's all right. So now that the Elite, and maybe they can get other people to actually run the tag divisions and women's divisions, actually know what the fuck they're doing, instead of Omega apparently running the women's division, reportedly, and the Bucks running the tag division. Let's get a few people that actually know what the fuck they're doing, that don't have their egos sunk into it, that aren't active wrestlers, that have minds for wrestling. Have Jerry Lynn work with the women. Who back there could work with the women? Have somebody work with the women that actually respects the women. Not Don Callis, because you don't want Don Callis anywhere near the women. Hey, the good news about the Elite being suspended, at least temporarily, is no Don Scarlet Fever Callis. So, Matt Maynard and Menard, whatever, and Parker are yelling about Action Bronson, and Action Bronson and Hook are going to team up against the former 2.0 at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Caster got cut off by Swerve. Swerve got probably the loudest boos of the goddamn night. And just saying, you guys thought you should be champions, and no. But we are going to have a rematch in 2 weeks, and we're going to break your hearts again. And then Billy said, this isn't Swerve's house, this is Daddy Ass's house. The fact that Billy Gunn is getting promo time on TV in 2022, I'm not complaining because I like Billy Gunn, but it definitely, it's one way to use a guy that has some cachet in the business. So, I am looking forward to the second match. That'll be interesting. They better go with the Acclaim. They don't, then it's going to be really bad. I'd still say they should have called an audible at All Out, but I get why they didn't. Still a great goddamn match, and Swerve in Our Glory, great. Just switching on a dime, playing heels. Shivani is with Jericho, Anna, Sammy, and Ty. At least Anna didn't try to choke somebody out and scream. She didn't talk, because if you're going to have her talk, have her be natural. Don't have her do the scripted stuff. Jericho, speaking of scripted, he talks about finding the fountain of youth. Jericho, you ain't been youthful since your buddy Benoit went nuts and destroyed his family. And even before that, you weren't really youthful. Sammy and Ty could go the fuck away, and I don't fucking care. Jericho is just not good for this TV show anymore. He's just not. So, he says BWBC. Jericho's just trying to trademark everything and hashtag stuff. He's trying to be like Millhouse's dad, and it's just not cool. Trying to be like that. My mom thinks I'm cool. So, here's Wardlow. Gets a decent enough reaction. He gets a better reaction at the finish. He demolishes Tony Nese in a TNT match. A TNT title match, that is, because it is on TNT. And it's for the TNT Championship. Oh, wait, no, it's on TBS. Why don't you have good old Jade on TBS and then have Wardlow on TNT? Oh, right, Rampage is mostly taped. And you need to doctor the noise with Jade because Jade isn't very good. Powerbomb Symphony 1, 2, 3. There you go. Josh Woods stops Sterling from being powerbombed. Josh Woods, who's a talent, a really good talent. And I forgot he is even there. Grant, he's part of the Ring of Honor brand, which means it's not shocking anybody would forget, because Ring of Honor, even though I'm sure Tony's trying to get him a TV deal, take one of your YouTube shows and make that a goddamn Ring of Honor show. Just do it. 1 hour of Ring of Honor programming. It's on YouTube, and then you can find a TV deal. Just my opinion. So, it's time to remind everyone that this is Wardlow's world, Wardlow says. Package on Darby and Sammy, because they've had matches before. And they're going to have that match on Rampage. Danielson versus Hangman. It's match number 3, the rubber match, and I don't even know her. Okay, it's the wild card bitches, Dynamite wild card match. The winner faces Chris Jericho. Good stuff. Regal joins commentary. Look, Hangman, when he's with the right people, actually looks like a credible main eventer. Because Hangman has that natural athletic ability. He has that likability, and that has been completely killed dead because a lot of the crowd was just sitting on their hands. There were a few cowboy shit chants, but it wasn't like it was. It wasn't like it was even a few weeks ago. After all that stuff came out, there are fans of CM Punk, and if this is to be believed, and Hangman was one of the instigators before that fight, because apparently he was not involved in that fight, and I'm not going to accuse him of that. I don't blame the fans for being a little bit upset. This match, though, pretty goddamn good. Danielson was working more heelish, focused on the arm, did some stuff, but then maybe Hangman was working as a heel. It was actually a bit weird. Really weird. Page hit fire back and got a nice DVD, pop-up DVD for 2. He got silence at sometimes and then booze at other times, and I don't mean drinking. It was a little bit jarring. And then fallaway slam off the top. He tries to go for the buckshot. Danielson rolls out. This is a second break. And then Danielson keeps going for the bell lock, keeps going for that. This went a while. He hits the boost cyclone knee, as I'm calling it. I know it's called something else, but whatever. It's funny. And then he caught, Danielson got caught, got hit with a moonsault outside. And then the buckshot got countered. Bridging pin, 1, 2, 3. Danielson gets the victory. Hangman's out of the tournament. That was quick. I'm not complaining if you want to try to get Danielson over more, but you know what really would have helped? Him beating Jericho. Because to me, it's not really telling a good story because Jericho can't provide anything good. Yes, he'll beat Jericho next week. He better fucking beat Jericho next week. Jungle Boy says, Christian, go get your surgery, and then I will, beat your bitch ass when you come back. Luchasaurus, I carried you for 3 years and tried to make us a good team. This, even though it was a pre-tape, this is the best Jungle Boy promo I've heard in a while. And then we come back, and Stokely and his goons, Ethan the Guns, William Ass Morrissey, Lee Moriarty, and if there was anybody else I forgot, they roughed up some tech guy. Why? Stokely could walk under the bottom rope and not even touch it. He wouldn't even have to duck. He's not, I know it's supposed to be like, oh, he can be taken more seriously, he can be fired up. And yes, he doesn't have one credible upper mid-card guy with him. He has guys that have been basically beaten into powder. William Ass Morrissey was featured on Impact, and sure, he may have done some good stuff. And maybe 5 fucking people watched it. Ethan might be the one with the most upside there. Lee, I don't know why Lee went the Dennis Rodman route with the hair, I mean. And the Guns, I don't know what they're doing. This felt like a mess. Rampage, by the way, Serena versus Madison Rayne. Dax versus Claudio, and then we do a pre-tape on that. I'm excited to see that match. Sammy versus Darby. And then we hear from Samoa Joe. There might have been another match. I don't really care. So, who the fuck is West Side Gun? Who thought this was a good idea? I want them brought up on criminal charges. The West Texas Rednecks were right. Move Over Kiss on Nitro. This is the worst mini-song performance that has fucking ever existed on any Turner Network television wrestling show. Fucking goddamn hell. Jesus fucking Christ. Honestly, if I was Turner execs, I would have just said, you ever put that on there, Tony, you're fucking fired. We're going to rip up the goddamn contract, and that's it. God, what? I don't care if he does Garcia's theme. Dude, Jesus Christ. Garcia was over because it's his hometown. And Wheeler got a decent reaction. It's a Ring of Honor pure championship match. So if you hit somebody with a closed fist, you get one warning, and then the next time it's a DQ and the title changes hands. And there's 3 rope breaks. Once you exhaust those, you could grab the ropes and it won't work. And you're more technical, more sound, and you have to use strategy. Okay, that's fine. Here's the thing. I get that it was Daniel Garcia, almost said Danielson, Daniel Garcia's hometown. And I'm not complaining about that. Here's my question, though. Here's my question. You have Hangman and Danielson for the world title. Yes, you have Garcia versus Yuta, and it's Garcia's hometown. Why didn't you just put that as a semi-main? Yes, he got the confetti. They're trying really hard to get Garcia his big moment. I just feel that if Danielson had won, it would have meant something. I guess with the aftermath, it sort of makes sense, but just pacing-wise, you're featuring a championship in the main event for a promotion that technically doesn't exist. So, nevertheless, there was some good stuff. Caprice, Coleman, and William Regal joined commentary. Good suplexes where they dropped each other on their head. Some good submission stuff. The crowd was cheering Garcia wildly. And eventually Garcia won with the Scorpion lean back, whatever, Dragon Slayer. I don't know what it's called. Not 1, 2, 3. He didn't submit him for 1, 2, 3. He got him to submit. Hopefully Wheeler's all right. And confetti, Danielson comes out to thank him or, congratulate him. He straps up a nice young man. And Jericho's upset because Danielson is strapping up his nice young man. And there you go. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this promotion going forward. But I'm a little bit worried, guys. And Khan should be worried. And if something isn't done, if the Elite come back and they are basically the same thing, strip them of the EVP stuff, a lot of changes are going to need to happen. Yeah, it can't happen overnight, but there have to be some big changes coming up. Otherwise, this could end up like WCW. I'm somewhat optimistic for a couple things, but really this show the crowd was energetic at times, but then there were times where they just sat on their hands. And I'm worried they're going to lose the fans. They may have gotten an initial boost in ratings. We will see. If they start they start dropping a little bit and they lose interest and more people see through this stuff, I'm a little bit worried. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.